The Senate's version of the big beautiful bill is going to add almost $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. And on top of that, it's almost $1 trillion more expensive than the House version of the big beautiful bill, and will cut health insurance for an additional million Americans. And in case you're wondering, yes, despite all of that, Republicans are absolutely still planning to pass this bill in just the next few days. And I'm going to tell you exactly how they're going to do it in a second. But first, let's talk about this new price tag. The non-partisan Congressional Budget Office just put out the new CBO score for the Senate's version of the big beautiful bill this morning. It says, overall, the Senate's version of the bill will add almost $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. The House version would have added $2.4 trillion over that same 10-year period. The CBO report also found that the Senate version of the bill would take away health care from almost 12 million people in this country over 10 years. That's about 1 million more people than the House version of the bill. And no, the CBO is not talking about illegals losing their health care. The CBO report said of that nearly 12 million people, the Senate version would take health insurance benefits from 1.4 million people without verified citizenship, nationality, or satisfactory immigration status who are currently qualified for state-only funded programs. But that means 10.4 million Americans who are currently eligible will either see their Medicaid benefits stripped away from them or will lose their Affordable Care Act health insurance because the federal subsidy that they've been getting for that health insurance is gone. Now, if you want to read this CBO report from the current version of the big beautiful bill, I'm going to email it out to you in my Facts HQ email, so absolutely make sure you sign yourself up. It is an excellent resource. Now, let's talk about how Republicans are planning to get all of this done. Now, let me warn you, this is a marathon, not a sprint. As we speak, Sunday, Senate Republicans and Democrats are in the middle of the debate over the bill. Republicans get 10 hours to debate and Democrats get 10 hours to debate. Democrats are probably going to use all 10 hours of that time, and Republicans are probably only going to use a few hours in that time because they want to move on to the next step, which is the Vote-a-Rama. No, I am not making that up. That is what it's called. A Vote-a-Rama is another one of those wonky Senate procedures where after debate on a budget bill is over, any senator can stand up and offer an amendment to that bill. So in this case, Republicans and Democrat senators will be able to force votes on amendments to the big beautiful bill. Some of those amendments will require the normal 60 votes to pass, and others will only need a simple majority. It will just depend on whether or not that amendment violates the Byrd Rule. The Vote-a-Rama is a marathon. It will only stop if one of two things happens. One, there are no more amendments being offered. See, to keep the Vote-a-Rama going, senators have to consistently keep offering amendments after a vote is over. Eventually, they run out of amendments. Or two, senators can force the Vote-a-Rama to stop if cloture is invoked, and that would require 60 votes. Now, most of the amendments offered during the Vote-a-Rama will fail. But some will actually pass. In fact, some Republicans are already planning to offer their own amendments to the big beautiful bill during tonight's Vote-a-Rama. Now, keep in mind as well, the minority party, so in this case Democrats, will often use the Vote-a-Rama as a way to force the majority party, in this case the Republicans, to take some politically compromising votes on some very controversial issues. That is very normal in this process. The Republican leadership expects that the Vote-a-Rama is going to go all night long into tomorrow, and we could get a final vote on the big beautiful bill in the Senate at some point tomorrow, Monday, or maybe Tuesday, depending on how long the Vote-a-Rama goes. Then don't forget, because the Senate has made all these changes to the bill, it would then have to get kicked back to the House for another vote. And lots of House Republicans are not happy with all these changes that the Senate Republicans have made. So that's another fight that we're going to have to watch very closely in the coming days. But if Speaker Johnson can keep his entire Republican conference together, the GOP plan is to have this bill passed out of the House by Wednesday, maybe Thursday, and then to President Trump's desk for signature either right before or right on the 4th of July.